was very convenient to be able to take two college English classes while still being a senior in high school. In the fall, I took English 101 and I just finished English 102. Going into English 101, I was a little uncertain on what to expect and what the difficulty would be. And the class ended up being a lot easier than I thought it would have been. Our first assignment for English 101 was to write about our family's history, and I decided to write about my parents and just like tell each of their stories and their lives before up until the point that I was born. And although it was just an assignment for a class, it was really fun to be able to sit down and interview them and hear stories that I hadn't heard before, and it just really helped me connect with them better. I think being able to interview them and take notes really like gave me a lot of content to write about, and I was easily able to reach the word count that my teacher put in place. I think my favorite assignment that I had in that class was our argumentative essay, because I like getting into debates, especially about sports, and that's what I decided to go with. I decided to write about why Jordan is the best basketball player of all time. And in preparation in class, we went over illogical fallacies, and these were kind of served as a guide for us on things to stay away from in our essays, and not to come off as biased and just to stay strictly to the facts and on point of our argument. And I was already like well educated on the argument and subject, so that's why I went with it. And reaching the word count wasn't a problem. And I would say that learning about the illogical fallacies was probably my biggest takeaway from the class, because I can apply it on all the argumentative or persuasive essays that I might have in the future. And we did read a book. It's called Into the Wild, and there's also a movie to go along with it. So I read the book and watched the movie, and it was I preferred the movie over the book, but it's a good story. It's based on a true story, and I probably wouldn't have like known about it if it wasn't for this class. So that's something that I'll remember. And going into English 102, I figured it would just be like an extension of how English 101 was, and it felt like this semester kind of just flew by. And again, we only met once a week, but it seemed like we had even less classes. So again, most of our work was done outside of class. And our first assignment that we had was our first essay was to write about the use of egos, logos, and pathos in PSAs. And I was a little familiar with that, although none of my teachers had gone over that since I took English 1 as a freshman. So this was a good review for that. And the PSA I went with was this, it was a warning against texting and driving. And I feel like learning about that was really useful, like learning about the devices that people use, and not just PSAs, but like different advertisements and things like that, to like really grip like viewers' attention and like their emotions, so I can use those devices in essays that I have in the future. And I think the assignment that I enjoyed the most in English 101 was researching on the effects of the impact of physical activity on education. And so what I was trying to show in the essay was how just regular physical activity like exercising or playing sports is positively correlated between higher test scores and just you doing better overall academically in school. And me doing track and field and knowing what it's like to have to like juggle practice and with on top of schoolwork, I was already educated on this topic too firsthand. And in researching it, I learned a lot more about it, and I found that to be very useful. And just how just regular exercise and things like that just improves just your overall well-being physically. So with that being said, I'm going to miss my time at AU, and I'm looking forward to graduation and going to college. Thank you.